Hi, I'm Chris from Clonmel Garden Centre, and here I'm going to show you how to sow seeds, different ways of sowing seeds. So first of all, I have a seed tray, and that's a clean seed tray. If you don't have it's best to buy a brand new one, but if you have some left over, just make sure they are absolutely spotless, because any bacteria or what there might be in there could well affect the germination. Little seedlings may die. So I've got some seed and cutting compost here, so I just want to put that in. This is very fine compost. It's better than using multi-purpose, because if you, let's say for example, you have a lump like so, or even bigger than like the same size of my thumb or bigger. If you put that in and the seeds grow into that, when you're trying to prick them out, that's the terminology for when you're taking the seeds out of the seed tray to pot them on. If you've got 2 or 3 growing into the lump, it's hard to divide them. So this is a very fine compost, especially for sowing seeds. So I am just breaking up whatever lumps there might be there. And just make sure you get compost all over the place nice and even. I'm just brushing the excess to one side with my hand. Then I've got this thing here which is like a tempering plate. So I'm just going to push it down slightly, not too hard, just to get a level surface. That's fine, so I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's fairly level. I'll just put that to one side for a sec. The other thing you want to do as well at this stage is it's much better to water them now rather than watering them afterwards, because if you water afterwards, there's always a danger that the droplets coming out of the rows of the watering can will push the seed down deeper than they want to be. So I'm just going to water that now. I've got a watering can here. So I want to get it fairly, I don't know whether you can hear me with the water. Okay, so getting it fairly wet is enough. What you want to do is you want to make sure that when the seeds grow, they've got at least enough water to germinate, because you don't want to be coming along and watering them when they're barely sticking the head above the surface. If you do have to, it's best to use a misting thing, and just mist them very lightly to get some moisture in there. I'm going to start with an easy seed. It's marigolds. Now a pack like this will have there's 250 seed in here. I would generally go for no more than 200 seed in here. Even 200 might be too much for some people, depending on you might not want that many marigolds. But you can always, as long as you put them, just keep the seed in a dry place, they will last. So you could do them in a second sowing some other time. I find as well, some people find that if you can tap them like this and they fall out of the bag, and just go along in rows. But it's actually better. The problem with that is sometimes you may get 4 or 5 that will come out in the same spot. So I actually find it's better to put them into my hand and then just sort of go like this and just sprinkle them on the surface. And if you find that they do, I don't know, whatever, 5 or 6 land in the same place, you can always just move them slightly. And bearing in mind, as I say, there's 250 in there, so I'm going to use about 3/4 of the packet. Okay, so I've got a few more here to go. Okay, the other thing then, once you've done that, is you want to put some soil on top, or some compost on top. So I just put these seeds to one side. I'm just going to fold them over so they don't fall out. Put them back into the bag so I know what's what, and then put those to one side. Putting compost on top, you want a very fine layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I've got a sieve here, a garden sieve. I'm just going to put some compost into that. And then I tend to do it from sort of quite high up, you can see what's going on, and just sieve so that make sure all the seed is covered. Again, not too thick, you literally just want them to cover so they're in darkness and they're well covered. And then you want to label them, because if you're doing quite a few at the same time, you want to, again, make sure you know what's what. So I've got a label here and I've got a pencil. Pencils are better than biros, are no good, because the water will just wash the ink away. So I just write down here there's marigold, the variety, and the date. And then also, I'm going to put this into a propagator, so rather than having the label going that way, and because I know it's a pencil, it won't come off, I actually just slide the label down here inside, and then that's fine. Okay, I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit. Then also you want to you put that into a propagator. You can either put it into a propagator, or you can just put it onto a windowsill, or if you've got a glass house, put it in the glass house. But a propagator with some bottom heat will make the seeds germinate even faster. So I've got one down here. So you literally just put the seed into the propagator, and then it comes with a little tray as well, which you can put on top. And that just keeps it, okay, it doesn't go all the way down, but the way the propagator works is it's bottom heat, so it's just going to create a nice temperature around when the roots do start to go down. Okay? Okay, I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'll do that later. Okay, well, therefore seeds that are easy enough to handle. Then for a really small seed, what you need to do is, I've got a seed tray down here. I've got a smaller one. Actually, sorry, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use these guys. These are cell inserts, so they're basically there's about 24. In that case, yeah, it's 24. So this will reduce root disturbance. So I'm going to put seed in here and let that grow, and that can grow into quite a large plant before I have to pot it on into another pot, or put it into a hanging basket or window box. So just fill it up with compost as well. Do the same procedure, just breaking up the lumps. It's not quite so vital this time because you're not going to be dividing them when they grow. You're just going to be pulling them out of the cells. Okay. And the next seed I'm going to sow is Lobelia. Now, Lobelia, same size packet as the marigolds, but in this packet there are 2,500 seed in this packet. So if I was to do the same principle as before, I would end up getting, it could be 50 in a pinch, and that's way too many. You only want like sort of 5 or 6. And you also, with Lobelia, rather than having them in the seed tray where you would prick out each one individually, this one you actually want them to be in clumps, but in smaller clumps, because then they'll grow. You need quite a few Lobelia together to get a good shape. Okay, so didn't go down far enough that time. Okay, and they're all down the bottom. It's amazing that there are 2,500 seed in here. Now what I want is, what I'm going to do with this, because it's the seed is so tiny, I'm going to mix it with sand. So I've got some sand here. It's horticultural sand. And I have a pot somewhere. Actually, here's one I did earlier. I've got my bowl there with my sand in it. So I'm just going to put the seed, I'm just going to pour it into my hand so I get a rough idea. It means, okay, I'll just put that into the sand. I've probably too many in there, but I've got certainly probably about 500 in just a tiny amount. So I just want to mix that well in. And then actually with a pinch, I'm just going to do a pinch of sand, and I know the seed in there, and I'm just going to go along like that. The other thing you can do, actually, rather than putting compost on top, is you can also put vermiculite, which I'll show you now in a second. It's you don't have to sieve it, it's extremely fine, and it does the same thing as having compost on top. You could argue there I've gone a little bit high with the compost in the first place, but the seed it'll find its way down. So I've got a bag of vermiculite here, so as I said, it's incredibly fine. So I just want to, like a handful of that on top. Okay, and same with label that as well, so you know what it is. Okay, in this case I can't actually push it down, so I'm just gonna put it there on the side, and again I'll put that into a propagator. Okay, I'm just going to put this to one side for a minute. Okay, tidy up my mess. Okay, and the last type of seed I'm going to show you is larger seed, which you can actually do. I'm going to do the same way. Into the cells. Again, fill the compost. It doesn't matter if a bit of vermiculite gets mixed in. The seeds won't mind that. Okay, and this time, to avoid having the compost too high, I'm just going to lift it up like that and tap it down on the ground, on the table, and it just makes the compost sink down a little bit. Okay, as I say, sweet peas. Sweet peas are one of the, there are some seeds that you need to do something with before you actually sow them. With sweet peas, it's beneficial. It's not necessary. It's not 100%. They just take a little bit longer if you don't. But it's to soak them in water. So I've had these soaking in water overnight. So I just pour off the excess water. And the reason why that is some seeds have a like a stronger shell, so they need to the water will soften that, so that the seed will germinate easier. So with these, I'm just going to put one in each. And a lot of people actually have, I wouldn't say difficulty, but with sweet peas, the secret to sweet peas is to pinch them back again and again and again. To get the more you pinch back, then they break out into more shoots. And it just means that you'll get much more flowers. Okay, I'm going to have a few more than I need here. So again, it doesn't matter if we've got a few left over. I can put 2 into each one. It doesn't matter. And sweet peas they're fantastic plants because the more you cut them, the more you cut the flowers, the more flowers you get. It works like that. So it's a great thing. So I've got still some compost here, so I'm going to sieve the compost again. Just put some more in. I use the excess that's here on the table. Okay, and then just sieve over it again. They want to go a little bit deeper, so you can put a decent amount of compost in. Okay, and that's it. Then again, you can put that. They wouldn't need to be in a propagator. They could just go in the glass house or a well-lit shed, and you'll see them coming up. And then, really, as soon as you see them coming up, you will, well, with the other seeds as well. Once they're big enough to handle, then you would go on to the next stage. And in a later video, I'll show you what to do at the next time. Okay, well that's it for now. So if you want further information, you can check out our website on www.clonmelgardencentre.ie.